what I had to do is I'm going on just a random teacher in our building so that you can see from a classroom teacher's perspective, because my perspective would be different than a regular classroom teacher. So I'm going on just a classroom teacher's stuff. Everyone see my screen? Good? Okay. This is basically when you open it up, this is what you'll get. This is what everybody should see when they open it up. Down the side here is your toolbar, basically. They've changed it around, obviously, since last year. They've changed things and made it different. Open up the chat. If you type in the chat and if you have questions, you can type in the chat. That way I can see it and I'll have that up. So they keep changing it pretty much every couple of months. They seem to change it around. But right now what we're dealing with is everything down the side. This is where you would get to everything. So I'm just going to start in with your roster. So down here where it says teacher admin, I'm going to go into the roster. And when you go into the roster, you just see that it gives everybody their username and password and what teachers they're shared with, because we have to share the students with, their ELA teacher. And if they go out to Title I, their Title I teacher or their special ed teacher. And one thing that you want to remember is if you're sharing, when you're sharing the students, if they're going out for other things, and say they go out for reading help, you can't hide any of the modules, because we had teachers here that they were like, oh, I'm going to make it easy. So when they open it up, they only see math, but then you're hiding the module for the whole thing. So it doesn't work like with what class they're in. You just can't hide the modules because the other teachers, then the students won't be able to see it when they go in with their other classes. So if you'd like to make, how to log into MobyMax should be your email address, and then it should be a password that you were given. I think they might have done, I think it was like MobyMax 123 or 123456. You can try that. That might be a new one. I'm not sure if anybody else knows, they can chime in, but I think that was one that they gave you a couple years ago. So when you come in here, you can manage your roster and you can create groups. So if you have groups of students and you're working at a different level with different groups of students, you can go and edit your group by coming here. And you can start by, you create a new group, you can call them whatever you want, and select the kids, and you can create different groups. And then later on, I'm going to show you how you can go in and you can assign different lessons to them. You can assign whiteboard activities, different tests to them, and you can just assign it to those groups of students. You can also just assign it to one single student if you have a student. You can also, like we were talking about earlier, you can reset the student if they're a student that has taken a test and obviously they scored way high and you want them to take it maybe in front of you or something like that. You can reset the student and you can just click on a single student. So that's how you can make groups. Okay. If you have when they go out, you can share students to the different teachers. All right. So I'm going to go back to the regular dashboard, and I'm going to start off with in math and go through within math. So when you're looking at it, up here, the differentiated learning, the adaptive math here, all of these, when the kids are doing it, whatever they get correct is how they'll start the next time they log in. So if they, do so much, when they log in the next time, they'll start off right there. You don't have to assign a thing. This is the easiest part about MobyMax. You can have them go on and do reading, math, science, social studies, and you don't even have to assign a thing. You can pull reports monthly to see how your students are doing, and you can look at the reports and you can compare them. You can look at, when you pull the reports, that's a great way for your groupings because you can see where the kids are and you can see what groupings they go to. But that's the best way. And the best thing about this is that it makes it for each kid, and you don't have to assign anything. You basically don't have to do anything at all. If you just want to the whole time just come in here and say, just go on MobyMax, you can just have them go on MobyMax. Now the test prep, that does test them at whatever grade level they are in. So when you're doing test prep, if it is, for us, it would be a 4th grade level. So the test prep on math would start all on 4th grade level and would only test them in the 4th grade level. And so you can kind of see where they are for that. And they also have printable worksheets. So you can go on here, and if you have your kids at home, you can have them go on MobyMax and you print out worksheets, and you can have the kids in school do your worksheets, and you can kind of eyeball them and walk around the room so that they're kind of working on the same kind of thing. And then you know that those kids at home are working on this, my kids at school were working on those worksheets. There is the next section over here in this pink, or purple, I should say, is Quick Checker. So you can create a test, and when you create it, you click in here to create it. You would go to create the new test, and all you're going to do is you add new problems. So you can, we're in math, you can search whatever grade level, and then it breaks it up into all your standards. So you would take and look at your standards and whatever standard you're working on. So if I'm, working on factors and I want to do factors of 9, I can take and go in here and I would select the ones that I wanted, and then you add them, and then that's added to their test. So you can make tests for them to do. So if I want to add them, I hit next. And then again, here's where I can go in and I can select different students, or if you already have them in your groups, at the bottom, your groups were listed. And you can do your groups. And then, so after you select it, it tells you to name the test, and then it says what day do you want to assign the test. So it won't, when they log in, the first thing that they'll see under the MobyMax is this test to take, and they can go in and take it. Go back. So there's a test. This is the placement test. This is the test that you guys are assigning, and some of the students are taking now and next Monday, or however you have it spaced out. But this is the placement test. Right now they're doing fill the gaps, so they're just taking a small test. But if you went in here, so if I went in the quick placement, you can see they've taken it. So this child is in 4th grade, and he's on the 8th grade level now, and he took it today. You can see this child's in 4th grade, and he has a 2 grade increase. This child has a 0.8, and that's what it tells you. This is what they took today, and it tells you their increases or their decreases if they went down, and it shows you what they lost. And when you click in, it tells you where their strengths are or where their weaknesses are. So if they lost something, you can click on it and you can see what they lost and what they're having problems with. And it tells you how much time they spent on the test also. And that's the placement test that everybody had to assign and go on. The quick skill, this is pretty much the same as a quick test, but it counts it differently. You can make your skills, and it does. So if you create a new test and you select all your students, and then here's your skills, and you can select whatever grade level you are. And then again, it gives you your standards and all the questions in with it. So it gives you your skills. So that's nice to have, that you can go and select the skill that you want and see where they're falling and see how they're doing. One of the things, so the fact fluency doesn't make any rhyme or reason. Some kids get 80 questions, some kids get 10 questions, and it says they mastered them all because they answered them quickly and did it. Even if you follow the directions to reset it, you have to actually restart it. And it doesn't clear out all their scores. So like our kids today that were taking it, they took it, but all their scores stayed the same. It doesn't, unless you reset it. I'll show you on the thing. Unless you reset it, it doesn't put them all back to zeros. So this is a great way. So in fourth grade, we concentrate on multiplication facts. So if you go on here, you can assign multiplication quizzes every day to your kids. And by going on, you go on, create a new test, select all the kids that you want to have it, and you can do 5, 6, whatever you want. First day you want to do 2s, 3s, 4s. And then if you go down here, there's multiplying, 0 through 5 all the way through. And it does the same thing for addition and subtraction. So this is a great way that if you want to have them do their skills, because the fact fluency, so when they go on again, each time they say they get a score of a 29 in addition, when they go on again, it's just reviewing their facts, and then maybe they might get a 36. So then their next score is a 36, then it might move up to a 38, then it might move up to a 40, and it just keeps moving up, but it takes a very long time. If you do these tests, you can see them, and you can set how long you want them. If they have IEPs, you can make their the time in between the tests longer or shorter, or each question you can change it. So that down there, these quick fluency are actually better than those that fluency one that you had to do today, because you can set them up and you can add what you want in them to exactly see how they're doing with their additions stuff and their subtraction stuff. This interactive class, these are great for obviously when they're in school and you can put on the whiteboard. They have interactive lessons and whiteboard activities that are already set up. You do not even have to, you don't have to do anything. They already have tons of them in there. So get rid of that. So you come up here for your whiteboard activities. So you're going to create a new lesson. And it's fourth grade. Math. Add the new problem. So you can create your own problems that you can type in there, or you can select a problem from the curriculum. And they have tons of different, like partial product is always a hard one with the kids. So if I go to partial product, and all of these questions they have for you, and you can do them together on the whiteboard, and it has them. So if you add a couple of them, and you can do together on the whiteboard, and it sets them up. This is great for, the whiteboards are great for if you have them in small groups, or you have them in breakout rooms. You can assign the whiteboard lessons and they can do them together in a breakout room or whatever, and it has them do each step that they need. So they do have tons of lessons, and they have tons of whiteboard activities. This is the interactive lessons. The students can actually go through, and then it will give you, it'll say, do you want to show where your kids made the mistake? And it will give them feedback and say where they made the mistake. The quick question, it does the same thing. You can have one question. It's kind of like an exit ticket that you can create, and it'll show you right away what the students got right and who got it wrong. And it's just a quick one thing. If you have them do that, like for your morning work, you can have them do it really quick, and you can see how many kids understand what you taught yesterday. The fluency games and the board games. The board games are great for group activities. And you can create board games, you can assign a skill, and they play a game, and they have to work together at the game. And a lot of times when a kid knows that their team is counting on them, they might go ahead and do more of the work or help with more of the work. Sometimes you're not going to get them, but sometimes the board games are a great way to go about it if you're not having success for them doing other things. Sometimes if it's a game, sometimes the kids will jump ahead and will be excited because it's a board game. So we've seen some students that like the board games better, and they actually participate and do the work and are learning the skills, because it's the same thing, you assign the skills. You can assign it to your groups or whatever, and you can assign, it's the same thing. You go through and you have all the skills that they have there. All right. So this is pretty much the same format for your ELA and your science. Your ELA has the same, the different things. Here's all your reading stuff down here. Of your literature and your informational text. Here's your phonics and stuff for lower grades, and they have the writing workshops, which they are a little hard to get your kids to start typing in and writing, and it's all based on the computer, but it is good. The test prep and this stuff with the informational reading, remember that is going to be on their level, or not on their level, it's on the grade level that they're registered in. All this stuff up here is differentiated and will adjust to their learning. Some of the things I want to show you, how you can print out like reports and stuff. So if you go into math and you come up here, the easiest way, you can go to the report section and you can customize it. But a lot of times if you come up here and you go to the printer and it says print overall report for all the students shown, and that will print a report and tell you their grade levels. You can go into the lessons when you assign lessons and you can print a report for that. Here's the placement. You can print a report for your placement test too. And you can, and the same thing with their progress, so you can see where they are. So any kinds of reports that you need to have on your desk, or that you want to show why you're grouping kids the way that they are, it's a quick and easy way for reports. Down here in the engagement section, they change this. This is where you can go and you can give students badges, little certificates and little things that say, that they've completed different things. But you can also give them games. So you're awarded a certain amount of points. And with those points, you can give the students more game time. So if you have a kid that is struggling and that is not getting past a section, you can actually give them an actual game, or you can give them more game time, and that will help motivate them. And so if you come in to adjust the student, so if I wanted to adjust his game time, I can award game time minutes, or I can award extra new games so he gets new games to play, because the games are only based on when they reach certain levels and they give them new games. So a reward would be if you gave them a new game ahead of time, and then they get to play that new game, so they're not playing the same game over and over. So they have games that you can give them. There's behavior vibes. So if I wanted to send him a vibe, I could click on them, or I could click on a bunch of them, and you say give vibe, and you can go here and you can actually type students, and you can give them, whichever vibe you want. There's also bad vibes. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you can send them bad vibes and tell them what they're doing wrong. And it'll show up right across their screen. In the middle of them working, it'll show up right across their screen. So you'll be able to tell when the student gets their stuff, especially if they're online, and when they were in my room, like, you would see them, they would look up like, where did this come from? And they would see it come across their screen. And then here's the rewards. And so say I select him, pick the rewards. So here's the different rewards. You can give a minute of game time. So like, here's the reward points. You can give a game minute. You can give an actual game, a badge, a Moby friend minute, where they can talk to another friend in there. I have no idea what that is. But if I were to give them a game, you see 200 points is for one student. So that's how much it would cost to give them a game, and then it lets them know and they can check it out. But they're just ways to give them incentives so that they keep working and that they keep doing it. Another way is you can start contests with your kids. You can say if everybody completed, if you assigned a lesson, you can say if everybody completes this lesson, then everybody would get 3 minutes of game time or something like that. Or if you say the kids that completed the lesson and received a 80 to 100, they get 3 minutes. Or the kids that received however you want, 70 to 80 gets 2 minutes, and then 1 minute, and then something like that. You can have a contest or however you want, and then that could motivate students. I know a question. Oh, so down here, this is the engagement. This is the assigned lessons. So you can go in here, and if you click on, you can assign the different lessons, and that's like if students are struggling, if you put them in a breakout room, you can assign this lesson and they could do the lesson together with the same group of kids that are struggling. Or you could have one student in there that knows how to knows the lesson and have, 5 different breakout rooms with 5 different students that are experts in that topic and showing them how to do the lesson. So you can assign the lessons here. That's where the find and assign the stuff are. Back. So this is one thing that's pretty important under tools is the classroom tools here, which they moved it. So you want to check I would suggest checking at least once a week for failed lessons. If a kid fails a lesson and they don't know how to do it, it won't tell you. You actually have to go in and see if the kid failed the lesson, and then you can go back and help them. But if they fail, a lot of times what was happening is kids were failing a lesson and they're failing it the next day and the next day and the next day, and they can't get past that lesson, so they're not getting anywhere. So unless you go into the failed a lesson and you find out where they're failing, you can actually move them along. You can say skip that lesson, or you can, call them up and remediate that with them, or go through the lesson with them and see that they need help, and then help them pass that lesson so they're not stuck on that same, problems every day that they keep getting the same lesson. So a failed lesson is something that you want to take and you want to look at that section, because that happens where a kid is just stuck and they're not moving and they're on that same lesson for, it's almost like a week or two in there. The notifications, if you're, a lot of people, the MobyMax notifications are turned off. If you turn them on, then you would get messages in your email so that you can get the failed lessons, but that's where you would go to get that. So you can do under the data, I showed you, if you clicked on that, this is the same information that when you clicked on your real time, it shows you the time and the minutes of each kid that they're on. Like, so those kids were on right there and you could see them. And so if you click on real time, you'll see who's, how many times they've been on there, what they're doing right now, and how many problems they answered. So these kids are on this right now. The time summary tells you how much time they were on, and it tells you when their last time was. And most of ours are probably going to say school because they're logged on with our school Chromebooks. So you'll probably see everybody with school. The classroom dashboard was the same. This shows you, gives you your graphs of how everybody's doing, and this was used to be in the front when you signed on. That's what you would see right away when you signed on. And then down here is your custom reports. So you can go in, and if you want to change the month to all February, you want to get a report for February, and you want to see how your students were doing. If you assigned a test prep, you could do that. or if you just want to do your math or your reading, like informational skills. So if I wanted to do reading skills, and then you could create a PDF and you'd export it, and that would give you, you can just select some students. If you have, it's good for conferences, you can use it and print out an individual students, or you can do your class summary so that you can get that. So here's where you can go to select which students you want in the time frame. And then once you create a report, it tells you what reports you've created and when you did it on. All right, so does anyone have questions for me? Any questions? No?
Susan, I have a question.
Yes.
It's Kathy Calhoun. So I always have problems finding the report for fact fluency. I don't know why. Can you pull that up and
I sure can.
show me how to do that?
Yep. So if you go under mathematics and you click on fact fluency, and then all you have to do is, if you go up to anything that you're on, if you go up to the printer, it will generate a report for it.
Okay, and that tells you what they got in addition, subtraction. Okay.
Multiplication, division, yep. And that's your fact fluency. The same for your placement test. If you go, so instead of clicking on fact fluency, if you click here.
Okay.
And you click on placement. And you go up to the printer, it'll create a report for that too.
Okay, and that's the one that tells you the grade level. That's the report. Okay, because I feel like they asked for fact fluency grade level, but I didn't think that was included in fact fluency.
It is not. So when on that memo that they sent, you're going to have to put the different scores of the 4 or whatever grade you're in, whatever ones they want you to put in.
Okay.
So I think it's like
subtraction or whatever they are, wherever they placed, I guess.
Yep. They're like, so for the fact fluency, you would put, in this kid, he would, because we have to do all 4. So the teachers would add 100, 100, 100, and 100 across. And I think that there's a table in Linkit that says that.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I don't know why. For some reason, I always struggle with that one. I can get the rest of them, but for that one, thank you.
Sure. No problem. Does anybody else have any questions or anything that they, Tara, do you have a question? Yeah. All right, so if you don't have questions, you can use this time to play around with MobyMax and see if anybody can get you in. Does anyone have a copy of our login and passwords? And did you emailed Sharon or no? You just did. And MobyMax was not working, just plain MobyMax? No. And have you ever been in on MobyMax? I only have our teachers' information. I don't have other buildings' information. You can try the computer teacher. She might be able to pull it up. I know I'm able to reset our buildings. Teachers, like if they forgot their password or something like that, I can reset that. So your computer teacher might be able to. and see if that would help. All right, so if nobody has any more questions or anything, you are free to go. I don't want to hold you and waste your time. I know you have a million things to do. But I will be here and I can answer any questions for anybody, but I hope you all have a good day.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Susan. Bye.
Bye. See ya.
In case anybody else asked, Sharon just emailed me back. She reset it.
She did. Awesome. Perfect.
Thanks, Susan. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good one.